Most interesting headline, and what we've started with, is this poll by TIFA, which was released yesterday. It is what features as a main story on the front page of the Star. We've taken a look at the level of, or rather the perception and the level of confidence that Kenyans have on institutions. Now it's about the parties. And the question that was asked was, which party do you identify with the most? And UDA is still the most popular. 16% identify with UDA, which is much lesser than the number that identified with that party a few years back. ODM suffering the same fate, and we now see DCP rising up. But the question I was asking is, probably the mistake we're making is that we're looking at these parties when you talk about ODM, we see Raila Odinga, when you talk about UDA, you see William Ruto. But these parties are entrenched at the grassroots. MCAs, MPs, senators. So when a party like UDA suffers such a dip in the levels of confidence, are you concerned, Bwana Sossion?
Yeah, I'm basically concerned with the stability of political parties as critical institutions of advancing democracy, policies and manifestos that impact on development of a country. I think as a country, we suffered the collapse of political parties when the Independence Party KNUT collapsed, and it collapsed in its own political environment of dictatorship. So when multipartyism came in, there was no mechanism to create political parties that last. So that then, if you look at every election, it is political parties forming coalitions. Mm-hmm. So that really, we can say there are strong political parties that have outlasted elections and have stabilized as institutions that are reliable, where policies are incubated and they can outlast elections. But when you look at the social democracy aspiration that Kenyans have had since multipartyism, you get it within the philosophy of UDA and ODM. That is why naturally from the polls, you can see they're 16%, 13%. And the DNA, the philosophy, is basically the same. So for me, looking at Vision 2030, the pillar of the political pillar, and promoting this country to be a country that deals with politics of issues, I think we are not very far, and the two parties espouses that. And since now we are in the mix of placing on the table the lens of 2027 elections, that is why you are getting those particular figures. But when we get to the right time, where political parties will flex their workings, and in fact, if you look at it, the last few days, the nominations for the by-elections that have been conducted, they've been conducted by the two parties very successfully. Yeah, you can look at UDA conducting a secret ballot nomination process in Baringo County. Baringo County, that is bringing together several constituencies, and it was able to determine a nominee democratically. Mm-hmm. We've seen they've done it in Malava, and they were able to determine a nominee democratically. They've done it in Mbeere North, and they were able to determine a nominee through a thorough process. So when you see a party that is able to organize electorate on the grassroots and members to participate in rigorous internal democracy, then that is a promising party. For me, the two parties, ODM and UDA, remain very strong. Is that pro-people? Yes, the figures may be down, but of course, they are the only strong political parties that are institutionalized with wider representation and with opportunity to overcome the challenges of our times. And no political party is spared until and unless you strengthen internal democracy, and
Looking at our history,
participation of the members and participation of
Dr.
the
Mbaye, we've seen in history, and we've mentioned these parties, that immediately after elections, parties that were basically used as vehicles for that election lose their popularity almost immediately. Some may be sustained if at all they get to form government, but what we're seeing is that, because the example like KNUT, once they lost power, the party just fizzled out. Jubilee, suffering the same fate, that its popularity after losing power is not as big.
PNU.
Yes, PNU, Mwai Kibaki's party. Now we are seeing almost the same happening to a party like UDA, which is in power. What does that say about Kenya's affiliation to political parties, even those that are ruling at the moment?
Two things. One, I want to say that